Hey there. I was in we were doing a planning session with a group of business owners last week. And one of the challenges that came up from my friend Joe was that he is constantly being asked questions. Constantly, his team is coming to him all the time, asking him stuff. He can't work in his office. He feels like he can't work in his office because he's always doing other things. And so we had a nice discussion around how to handle that. And I thought it was very well done. So when someone comes in your office, you have two choices. You can solve their problem for them, or you can not solve their problem for them. So, in other words, you can answer them or you can not answer them. It's up to you. Now, which is more effective? Well, one of the challenges is that you know what you're doing, and you probably know the answer to the question or the obvious solution to the problem because likely you've run into it before sometime in your career, but that may not be the obvious way to handle it. So let's look at what goes on if you choose to answer or solve the problem for them. The first thing that happens is you feel great because your knowledge, you have the answer. It feels good to get it right. We're taught as kids in school, we love being right. We want to hold up our hand. Yes, Mrs. Teacher, Mr. Teacher, I have the answer. Oh, great job. Great job, Bill. You got the answer right. So our first instinct is to answer the question and get that hit of dopamine because it makes us feel good. Well, that may make us feel good, but it may not do anything for that team member. So let's look at what it does. So that is one probably pro for it. It makes you feel good. The second pro is it's probably going to be faster than if you take the time to teach them how to solve things and move on. But this is like leverage. Sometimes you have to do something once or twice and take a little bit more time on the front end so it saves you more time on the back end and develops your team and teaches them how to do it. So if you answer the question, it enables them. It takes the ownership of the problem away from them. It puts it on you. It does nothing for their development. And even though they may have to execute it, they don't have ownership of that situation without it. So, and if you're getting people coming to you all the time, it's likely because you're enabling them to do that. You're making it possible for them to do that. So they're just going to keep coming back and coming back and coming back and coming back. So long term, I don't think that's a very good solution. My suggestion is that you don't answer them. And you say, well, Bill, how do you do that? Well, let's talk about it. So a couple of rules that I have. I worked for a man named Mr. Swinney, and Mr. Swinney had a rule. Bill, you can come to me with any of your problems, but don't ever come to me with your problem expecting me to solve it for you. I want you to have at least one idea about how you're going to solve the problem. And if you bring me the idea, then I'll discuss it with you, but I'm still not going to solve the problem for you or make the decision. You're still going to, what a great boss, right? So, there is a famous Harvard Business Review article, which basically states that which is about the monkey on your back. So the idea is, and it's an illustration of someone comes in your office, they have the monkey, which is the problem. They bring the monkey. If you take the monkey, then you end up with the monkey on your back. Now, if that happens all day and 30 people come to you and you have 30 monkeys on your back, it's pretty heavy, and that's not going to work. So the job of a manager or owner or leader is to make sure that you teach people how to handle their own problems, how to solve their own problems, how to make great decisions. And so that's what I'd like to get into today. So how do you do that? Well, that's where the power of questions comes in. So one of the great questions that I've ever learned is because I'm like, well, if you bring me a problem, bring me a solution. But one of the great questions to ask is when you're teaching someone, because they may, well, I don't know how to even come up with an answer. I don't know how to. They may not have the knowledge yet to be able to come up with. So one of the great questions that I ask is, what are the conditions for solution of the problem? And the reason I like that question is because it stops them a minute, because they're like, well, what do you mean? What are the conditions? Well, what do you need to know to be able to solve the problem? What are the things that you need to know? What would make it possible for you to be able to solve that problem? So ask them, what are the conditions? Teach them how to do that, and then say, all right, so what are 2 or 3 possible solutions? So teach them how to gather and do the research, go back out, do the research, come back to me with 2 or 3 solutions. Now, which solution would you choose? And then you discuss why that's a great one. That might not be the solution that I would choose or that you would choose, but which one would they choose? And then you can discuss it, and then you can ask them questions like, well, have you thought about this? Or what would happen if you did this? Or, oh, I hadn't thought about this. Or what would be the impact to somebody else on that? So you continue to ask questions to help them come around to figuring out what the solution is. But they have to make the solution. They need to come back. They need to own the solution. So what happens is, A, they learn how to make decisions. B, they learn to live with the consequences, whether that's good or bad. They learn how to make better decisions. The more decisions you make, the better you get at it. You're going to make some bad ones, and you can always adjust. If it's life or death or safety, you may have to jump in. But for the most part, we need to push down the decisions to the lowest possible point in our organization. So my suggestion to you is never answer any team members' questions, but always be available to help them. Have a process in your organization that allows them to go get ideas from other people, no matter where they are. They can always come to me. My team can always come to me. We'll always discuss it. I do not want to make their decisions for them. They make a decision, they live with the decision, and we learn from the decision. So, and they grow and become better team members. The organization, as your team grows, your organization will grow. So I hope you get it. This is not easy. You're going to need discipline. You're going to have to stop just for a sec, because your instinct is going to be to answer that question. It is our instinct as humans to answer the question. Answer the question with a question. Hope you enjoyed the learning, and until next time, all the best.